Dear learners, I am Ankita Peter. I am the counselor from DPS Expressway, and in this program we are going to discuss about individual differences. It is often said that every individual is unique and that no two individuals are exactly the same, that they might differ from each other in some or the other way. But have you ever thought, why do individuals differ from each other? For example, why some people are more talkative or are less talkative? Why some people tend to make friends easily while others take time? These are individual differences. We all are not same. We are different from each other. So we can say that individual differences are the differences among humans that distinguish or separate them from one another and makes one as a single unique individual. According to psychology, individual differences refer to the extent and kind of variations or similarities among people on various psychological aspects such as intelligence, personality, interest and aptitude. This lesson will help us understand how to assess such similarities or variations among individuals. Here we will discuss about nature of individual differences, how we can assess individual differences, nature and definition of intelligence and tools to measure it, nature and definition of aptitude and tools to measure it, the interest and tools to measure interest, and the nature of personality and describe the different technique used in personality assessment. So let us start from nature of individual differences. If we collect information about people's characteristics from a large sample and examine the pattern of distribution, we find that a large majority of people fall in the middle range while a small proportion lies in the extreme categories. For example, most of the people fall in the category of average height and very few are very tall or very short. This is true for many psychological attributes such as intelligence and other psychological attributes. People try to show regularity in their behavior and their patterns of behavior do not change very frequently. This regularity and stability in behavior is unique to every person. People develop their unique traits and characteristics and patterns of behavior due to genetic makeup and the environment in which we are brought up. We get certain characteristics from our friends through genetic codes. We acquire similarities of physical attributes such as height, color of eye, etc. We also inherit cognitive and emotional characteristics from such as creativity. However, our own characteristics develop largely by the influence of environment in which we live. Therefore, individual difference occurs due to interaction of genetic and environmental factors. Due to our genetic codes and different surrounding environment, we vary from other individuals and that gives rise to uniqueness in every individual. Next, we will focus on assessing individual differences. Psychological assessment refers to the specific procedures for evaluating personal qualities, behaviors and abilities of individuals. Psychologists have developed tests to assess certain characteristics in individuals. In order for the psychological test to be useful, it is important that the test should be reliable, valid and standardized like number first, which is reliability. A test is reliable if it measures a given characteristic regularly. For instance, think of a bathroom scale. If it gives you one weight the first time you step on it and then a different weight when you step on it a moment later, it is not reliable. Similarly, if person is found to be of average intelligence on one occasion, then the person should also appear to be of average intelligence if tested after 2 weeks. Number 2, validity. The validity of a test refers to the degree to which it assesses what it intends to measure. It is a measure of a test usefulness. the scores on the test should be related to some other behavior reflective of personality, ability, or interest. For instance, a person who scores high on an intelligence test would be expected to do well in school or in jobs requiring intelligence. A person who scores high on scale of depression should be diagnosed as depressed so that mental health professionals who assess the person. Number 3. Standardization. It refers to the extent to which the assessment and procedures of administering the assessment are similar, and the assessment is scored similarly for each student. Standardized assessments have several qualities that make them unique and standard. First, all students taking the particular assessment are given the same instructions and the time limit. Second, the assessments contain the same or very similar questions. And third, the assessments are scored or evaluated with the same criteria. Psychologists have developed tests to measure different human characteristics. There are tests used to measure personality of an individual, intelligence test, aptitude test, and many other psychological characteristics. Nature of intelligence and assessment. You often come across the term intelligence in everyday life. The notion of intelligence in psychology is quite different from the general notion of psychology. Who can be called intelligent? The one who gets the highest marks in exams? The person who earns many educational degrees? The answer is that intelligence is much more than getting high marks and number of degrees. Basically, intelligence is defined as general, cognitive, problem-solving skills. Intelligence refers to multifaceted abilities of people. It gets expressed in many ways and comes in many forms. Some people are good in studies, some are good in repairing machines, some are good in acting, and some are great in sports. People are very good in one subject and average in some other. The most important thing is that intelligence is functional. It is used to do something and to achieve something. In psychology, intelligence has been defined in many ways, such as number 1, Binet and Simon. He has described intelligence as the ability to judge well, to understand well, and to reason well. Number 2, Wechsler. It is the aggregate or global capacity of the individual to act purposefully, to think rationally, and to deal effectively with the environment. Number 3, Gardner has described it as the ability to solve problems which are valued within one or more cultural settings. He advocated that there are 8 types of intelligences, namely linguistic, logical, which is mathematical, spatial, musical, bodily, which is kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalistic. Now, we will see how we can measure intelligence. The first attempt to measure intelligence was made by Sir Francis Galton. A more systematic approach was developed by Alfred Binet, who gave the concept of mental age, MA, which refers to an individual's level of mental development relative to the environment in which he or she lives. The chronological age, which is CA, is the biological age of the individual. The term intelligence quotient, that is IQ, was devised by William Stern. The formula is IQ is equal to MA by CA into 100, where MA stands for the mental age of the subject, CA stands for the chronological age of the subject. The number 100 is used as a multiplier to avoid the decimal point. One of the most popular and widely used tests of intelligence is the Wechsler scale of intelligence. Intelligence tests are of 2 kinds, individual test and group test. An individual test of intelligence can be administered to a single individual at a given time, whereas a group test is administered to more than one individual at a time. On the basis of nature of items, intelligence tests are verbal, non-verbal and performance tests. Verbal tests require subjects to give verbal responses, either orally or in a written form. Therefore, verbal tests can be administered only to literate people. The non-verbal tests use pictures, drawing, sketch, figure and graphic as test items. Performance tests require subjects to manipulate objects and other materials to perform a task and do not require written language to answer the items. Now, we will discuss about aptitudes and interest and their assessment. You may have come across some of your friends who may be very good in mathematics but very poor in social science, or they may be poor in sports but exceptionally creative artists. Such people possess special abilities or characteristics in a particular field, but relatively low in other field. According to psychology, this is called aptitude. An aptitude is a combination of characteristics that indicates an individual's capacity to acquire some specific knowledge or skill. After training, in general, aptitude is acquired or natural ability, usually measurable with aptitude tests for learning and proficiency in a specific area or discipline. Aptitude is expressed in interest and is reflected in current performance, which is expected to improve over time with training. Several aptitude test batteries have been developed, such as Differential Aptitude Test (DAT), the General Aptitude Test Battery, that is GATB, Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery (ASVAB), to name a few. There are salient differences between intelligence, aptitude and achievement. Intelligence is a general mental capability that involves the ability to reason, plan, solve problems, think abstractly, comprehend ideas and language, and learn. An aptitude is the ability to learn or to develop proficiency in an area. Achievement refers to the amount of knowledge and a skill person has acquired, usually as a result of classroom instruction. Psychologists have also constructed a number of tests to measure interest for children and adults. There are vocational interest tests, which help them identify the interest of a person in particular vocational areas. Vocational interest tests. The vocational interest tests are a paper-pencil test that assess a person's interest and match them with success in various occupations. There are also general interest inventories. Now we will switch on a very interesting topic, that is personality. We all have heard the term personality and use it in our day-to-day life. The word personality originates from the Latin word persona, which means mask. A very popular definition of personality, which is still referred to by the scholars, was given by Allport in 1937. According to him, personality is the dynamic organization within the individual of those psychophysical systems that determine his unique adjustment to his environment. In general terms, personality refers to individual differences in characteristics, patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. The study of personality focuses on two broad areas. One is understanding individual differences in particular personality characteristics, such as sociability or irritability. The other is understanding how the various parts of a person come together as a whole. Psychologists have approached personality from different perspectives. Now let us study in brief about some of these perspectives. Number 1. The trait perspective. which tries to describe the personality in terms of various traits. For instance, introversion and extraversion are two types of personality traits. Number 2, the psychodynamic perspective focuses on the unconscious needs and conflicts as well as the influence of earlier stages of development on our lives. Number 3, the socio-cultural perspective highlights the importance of the social and cultural environment. Number 4, the humanistic perspective emphasizes the enormous potential for freedom and growth present in each one of us. Therefore, personality is thought as a person's unique and relatively stable behavior pattern which remains consistent across situations and over a period of time. Techniques of personality assessment. In the field of personality assessment, the major focus is on the study of the nature and various characteristics which are generally reflected through the behavior of the individual in a given situation. Personality assessment measures are classified into three categories. These are A. Objective or self-report measures of personality. B. Projective or indirect measures of personality. Situational measures of personality. A. Objective or self-report measures of personality. In measures of this kind, the person is asked to report about himself or herself on a set of statements organized in the form of a questionnaire or inventory. The nature of the statement can be either closed-ended or open-ended. Some of the self-report measures of personality which are widely used to assess personality are: Number 1, neuroticism, extraversion, openness, personality inventory revised, which is NEOPIR. This test is currently one of the most popular personality assessment tools. This test has been developed by Costa and McCrae in 1992 and is based on 5-factor model of personality. These 5 dimensions and facets are as follows: neuroticism, extraversion, openness to experience, agreeableness and consciousness. We call it OCEAN. Number 2, 16 personality factor questionnaire, which is called 16PF. This test was originally developed by Raymond B. Cattell, Karen Cattell and Heather E. P. Cattell in 1949. It yields scores on 16 primary traits such as social boldness, dominance, vigilance, emotional stability and rule consciousness. It also measures 5 global factors which are extraversion, anxiety, tough-mindedness, independence and self-control. Number 3. In India, a number of self-report measures of personality have been developed. Some of these modified versions are Bell Adjustment Inventory by Mawson and Hussain, Maslow Security Insecurity Inventory by Singh and Jamua, Maudsley Personality Inventory of Eysenck in Hindi by Singh and Jodhpur Multiphasic Personality Inventory by Joshi and Malik, amongst others. A. Projective or indirect measures of personality. In projective test, the individual has to respond to unstructured or ambiguous stimuli in which he or she projects his or her latent or unconscious feelings, needs, emotions, motives, etc. The responses of the individual in these tests reflect the nature of his or her personality. Some popular projective techniques are the Rorschach ink block test, the thematic apperception test, and the Rotter incomplete sentences blank. Situational or observation measures of personality. Another technique to assess personality is to observe the behavior of the individual in purposefully designed situation. These tests are more effective in the assessment of leadership, dominance, responsibility, extraversion, introversion, etc. One of the first situational tests was developed by Hartshorne, May and their associates in 1928, 1929, 1930 for the Character Education Inquiry, which is CEE. These tests measures the traits like altruism, honesty and self-control. Now let us summarize and let's see what we have learned in this lesson. The individual differences focuses on the extent and similarities or dissimilarities among people on some of the important psychological aspects such as intelligence, personality, interest and aptitude. The individual differences occurs due to genetic and environmental factors. Due to consistency and regularity and stability in the behavior is unique to every person. A test should be reliable, valid and standardized. Intelligence refers to multifaceted abilities of people. The most popular definition of intelligence was given by Wechsler in 1939. Now, according to Wechsler, the aggregate or global capacity of the individual to act purposefully, to think rationally and to deal effectively with the environment. The first systematic effort to assess intelligence was made in 1905 by Alfred Binet, a French psychologist who gave the concept of mental age, MA. The term intelligence quotient, IQ, was first given by William Stern, a German psychologist in 1912. That is, IQ is equal to MA upon CA into 100. We did comparisons among intelligence, aptitude and achievement. We discussed about measurement scales like DAT, the differential aptitude test. According to Allport, personality is dynamic organization within the individual of those psychophysical systems that determine his unique adjustment to his environment. Personality can be studied under following perspectives. Number 1, the psychodynamic perspective. Number 2, the sociocultural perspective. Number 3, the humanistic perspective. Number 4, trait perspective. Measurement of personality can be done under 3 categories. Number 1, self-report measures. Number 2, projective measures. Number 3, situational measures. I hope this discussion was beneficial for you in your learning. I wish you a very happy learning. Thank you.